Hi, in this video I'll be showing you how to configure OSPF in FortiGate. For the same purpose, consider this network wherein I am having a FortiGate device over here which is connected to three other Cisco routers. The interface IP is 192.168.0.0/30 network, and for R2 there is a LAN network. For R3 there is another LAN network 20.20.20.0/24 network, and for R4 there is a branch office which is 172.16.1.0/24, and each interface is having a set of IP address in the subnet /30. So initially I will be configuring R4. So these are the IP address that has been configured. So go into configuration mode, router OSPF. I'll give a process ID 1. I have to set the router ID. Over here you can see that I have set it as 4.4.4.4. Network, I have to mention the network on which OSPF has to be broadcasted, that is 192.168.0.8, and the wildcard mask .3. Now you have to mention the area. I'll be configuring all these devices in area 0. And the other network, LAN network 172.16.1.0, 0.0.0.255, area 0. That is all on R4. Now we will move on to R3. So in R3 I have to configure this network, and this network. These three networks has to be advertised via OSPF. Router ID will be 3.3.3.3, network 192.168.0.8, and it should be /30, area 0. Network 20.20.20.0.0.255, area 0. Network 192. So I have configured all the networks. In R3 as well. Now let's move on to R2. So router ID will be 2.2.2.2. Network will be 192.168.0/0. Area will be 0. Next is network 10.10.10.0, area 0, and network 192.168.0.4, area 0. So I have configured all these networks. I am advertising all these networks via OSPF, and as you can see over here, the adjacency, OSPF adjacency has been formed with neighbor 3.3.3.3, that is R3. And as I mentioned earlier, all the routers who is exchanging OSPF, the neighbors can only be identified using the router ID and not with the host name. So that is the importance of router ID. Seeing a OSPF packet exchange or a log, or if you go to the neighbor table, you can see this router ID mentioned in that. Using the router ID, you have to identify which is the neighboring router. So I'll go to the routing table. And you can see over here O stands for OSPF, and there are a couple of routes which has been learned via OSPF, that is 20.20.20.1. that network, that is R3 LAN network, has been learned. The 10 network has been learned, sorry, not 10, 172.16.0.0, that is R4 branch office has been learned via OSPF, and the 0.8 network has also been learned via OSPF. If I give the command show IP OSPF neighbor, you can see that the neighbor that has been identified, this is R3. I am on R2 and this is R3 is its neighbor, and adjacency is full adjacency, and you can see the router ID and the interface through which it has formed the neighbor. Database, show IP OSPF database. If I give that command, you can see the router ID of all the other routers that are linked to the same area 0. You can see those devices. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll go to the FortiGate device. Next we will configure OSPF on FortiGate device. If I go to network interfaces, you can see that I'll be configuring OSPF on this interface port 5 with the IP address 192.168.0.0/30. Okay, I'll be configuring on this interface so that OSPF will be advertised via that interface. And I am having a directly connected interface also. I need to advertise that to this interface. Now let me go to OSPF. For configuring the OSPF in network, you can go to OSPF, and here I have to mention the router ID. So router ID, as you can see over here, the router ID is 1.1.1.1, which I am planning to configure. So let me give that. Area ID should be 0. Area is 0, so I'll be configuring all the routers in area 0. So I can't mention just 0, it will say it is invalid. So I have to give an IPv4 address. So for area 0, I have to mention 0.0.0. And type, I am not configuring NSSA or stub. I will be just configuring the regular, as well as authentication. I have placed it as none. So the area ID is 0, and I have to select the network. It is in area 0, and the network interface will be 192.168.0.0, that is the network /30. That is the network that will be advertised, and it has to be advertised. I have to select a interface through which the OSPF will be advertised. So I'll give it as OSPF1. You can give any name, then select the interface. I have configured that IP in interface port 5, which is connected to the Cisco router, and leave it like this: hello interval and dead interval. It is the same also in Cisco routers. So we will leave it like that. If you want to verify that, you can go to a Cisco router. I'll go to R2 and type in the command show IP OSPF interface fast Ethernet 0/0. If I give that command, you can see over here, this is the router ID, the IP address of the interface, the process ID, everything is available over here. And if you come over here, you can see that allow interval is 10 and det is 40. So it is the same over here. Allow interval is 10 and det interval is 40. You can click OK and apply. Now it has been saved successfully. Now one more thing is there, advanced. Go to advanced, and this is what I need to advertise via this OSPF. I am having a connected interface, that is the interface through which I am accessing 192.168.240.0. So I'll just advertise that and click apply. Now the OSPF configuration has been saved. Now I'll go back to monitor, click on route monitor, then refresh that. It will take some time, and now you can see that this router has learned all these IP address: 10 network, 20 network, 172.16 network, that is on R3, as well as 4 network and 8 network, all via OSPF, and the administrative distance is 110. Now if I go back to R2, show IP route, you can see that this router has learned about 240.0, on which I am accessing this PC through my hardware real PC. So that IP has been learned via OSPF, and everything is available under OSPF. So they will be able to ping each other. If I go to the console, execute ping 172.16.1.1, that will 1.1 will be the branch office IP address. 1.1. As you can see over here, from FortiGate I am able to ping that IP address, and this is via this 172.16.1.1 route that has been learned via OSPF. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.